Wise, thoughtful, a slightly melancholic tone fades in and out. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Evolve Every Day. Have you ever been deeply hurt by the very people you trusted most? Your family, your friends, your partner? Have you ever felt like your heart, once so full, was just a pile of shattered glass on the floor? So many of us have been there. Think of the young woman betrayed by the man she loved, who felt so broken she was driven to the brink of despair. She felt she had given everything, only to be met with cold indifference. It's this crushing feeling that what you give is never truly valued, never returned in equal measure. This is a painful cycle, a pattern of emotional overinvestment. Now, what I'm about to share with you might be difficult to hear. These are ancient, hard-earned truths that aren't always easy to swallow. But I promise you, if you stick with me until the end of this journey, you'll gain a wisdom that can protect that fragile heart of yours. There are secrets to be revealed, so let's begin. So many of us are emotionally driven. We pour our hearts out. We want to show our complete and utter devotion to others. And giving your all isn't the problem. The problem starts when you demand that they give their all right back to you in the exact same way. When they inevitably fall short, you crumble. This is when the accusations begin, the tears, the angry words. You call them ungrateful, cold, a traitor. You wrap yourself in a cloak of martyrdom, feeling like you moved heaven and earth for them, only to be betrayed. It all boils down to that one painful question. I was so good to you, how could you do this to me? But here's the devastating truth. They never asked you to be that devoted in the first place. It was a role you chose to play. You cast yourself in a drama of your own making, hoping for a specific response. And when you didn't get it, you became the victim of your own script. Isn't this just a grown-up version of a childhood game? You give me one piece of candy, secretly expecting me to give you two pieces back. When I don't, you run off crying, telling the world how heartless I am. But hold on, who asked you to give me that candy? Didn't you offer it freely? We see this in the professional world too. Some bosses fall into this very trap. Take my friend for example. He hired a young man, let's call him John, who was completely new to the industry. The boss poured everything into him, mentoring him, shaping him into a star employee. Then, one day, John, now highly skilled and valuable, came to the boss and asked for a raise. The boss was shattered. He went around telling everyone how selfish John was. "I made him who he is today," he'd say. "After everything I've done for him, not only is he not grateful, he has the audacity to ask for more." What a backstabber. The reality is, a boss like that has never understood the hidden transactions that exist beneath the surface of all human relationships. First, here's a painful truth. Believing in pure emotion is a recipe for a lifetime of suffering. When you talk to people about feelings, you'll find they often turn the conversation to money and benefits. Yet, when you focus purely on work and practical matters, you'll suddenly find everyone around you, except perhaps your parents, wants to talk about feelings. Every other relationship is, in some way, a performance. And that performance only continues as long as you provide enough value to make it worthwhile for the other actor. If you've been hurt by someone, don't blame them. Blame yourself for not seeing the game for what it was. Look at those who struggle with deep sadness and depression. Aren't they almost always the ones who have been wounded by family, by friends, by lovers? So stop wasting your time trying to test the loyalty of others. The results will only break your heart. Because every person who talks to you about feelings is operating from a place of their own self-interest. And sometimes that even includes your own parents. Why do they push you to get married? Because they want the joy of holding a grandchild. Why do they want you to live nearby? Because it's more convenient for them when they need help. Why did they bring you into this world in the first place? For their own happiness. Ask yourself, if you have children, did you have them for their sake or for your own? If you say it was for them, did you ever ask for their consent to be born? The truth is, for your own fulfillment, you brought another soul into this challenging world, didn't you? A woman I was coaching once told me her husband treated her terribly, but her parents forbade her from getting a divorce because it would be an embarrassment to the family. Do you see? They were willing to sacrifice their daughter's entire life of happiness just to save face. And yet, they would still say, "We're only doing what's best for you." Remember this. Anyone who constantly says, "I'm doing this for your own good," is, at their core, acting in their own self-interest. This applies to family, to friendships, and to love. Second, believing in romantic love is a setup for a lifetime of pain. Do men possess true, unwavering love? Don't be so naive. For many men, the allure of what they don't have is a powerful force. The chase is often more thrilling than the prize. It's in our nature to tire of the old and seek the new. Think about that shirt you used to adore. Don't you eventually toss it aside? Or your favorite meal? If you ate it every single day, wouldn't you grow sick of it? In a way, marriage is an institution that fights against human nature. Our nature is to be novelty-seeking, to be insatiably curious. How can anyone be expected to love just one person for an entire lifetime? The scariest part is that you still believe in the fairy tale. At a wedding, instead of saying empty words like, "For richer or for poorer, I will never leave you," maybe the vows should be more honest. Maybe they should say, "I will actively fight my own biological instinct to betray you, and I will try to love you forever." It sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? And yet, maybe it's the most honest thing we could ever say. Even the most beautiful woman in the world will eventually seem dull because you're up against the fundamental human nature of chasing novelty and insatiable desire. If you want to protect your heart from being broken, the most critical lesson is to never invest all of your emotions into one person. You have to constantly monitor your own emotional investment. If you feel you've given 100%, you must find the courage to pull back, maybe down to 80%. Being too cold isn't good, but giving 100% is a fire that will burn you. At 80%, you finally have enough left over to protect yourself. If you find yourself loving someone so deeply, learn how to subtract. Go out and find a few more friends. Spread some of that affection to other people. Plant some flowers. Develop a hobby that is yours and yours alone. And try, with all your might, not to pour your entire soul into another living being. Because living things change, they get sick, and they leave us. And the pain you'll feel will be unbearable. Think about it. If you get a dog that you absolutely adore, you are signing up for a future heartbreak, because that dog will one day get old and pass away. And the capacity for a human being to change is 1,000,000 times more severe than that of a dog. You dare to love someone that deeply? Do you have any idea how dangerous that truly is? When a man clearly doesn't love you but refuses to break up or file for divorce. When his words say, "I love you," but his actions behind your back are chipping away at your soul, the truth is, he doesn't love you at all. He just can't bear the thought of losing a foolish woman who adores him while he soaks up all that affection. In his mind, he's still convinced he deserves someone better. It's the classic case of using you as a placeholder until something better comes along. His current circumstances just don't allow him to get rid of you yet. But trust me, when the conditions are right, he will keep both. He'll keep you to do the emotional labor, and he'll have his new prize to show off to the world. So please wake up. Stop letting your feelings blind you to the truth. Third, believing in an affair will bring you a lifetime of sorrow. Someone once asked me, "Do men really fall in love with the other woman?" And I told her, "Do you even understand what that relationship is? It's a relationship that can never be public, that can't be brought into the light of day. It's a secret, a clandestine arrangement." Men seek these affairs out of loneliness and emptiness, not because they're searching for true love. A man is just chasing a thrill, a conquest, an escape. It's all about satisfying a physical need. This kind of love thrives on the excitement and novelty of being sneaky, and the most important part for him is that he bears zero responsibility. He doesn't love you, he just hates being tied down by his marriage. And a relationship with you means he doesn't have to care about anything or be responsible for anyone. He won't even break up with you directly. He's afraid you'll cause a scene. He'll just slowly grow cold, distant, until you're so exhausted that you give up and walk away yourself. When a man cheats, there are only two possibilities: never or countless times. So don't ever expect a man like that to be faithful to you. Women who get trapped in these situations always say men are so cruel, that in an affair, they only want to satisfy their physical desires with no real emotional investment. But here, I have to defend men for just a second. The truth is, men are both passionate and loyal. They're just more rational about it. They can love the other woman with incredible passion, but they reserve their loyalty exclusively for their wife. It's an incredibly twisted mindset, really. He craves your love, but he also needs your love to remain quiet and stable. You can be affectionate, but you absolutely cannot interfere with his family. You can love him with all your heart, but you must not threaten his marriage. To put it more bluntly, it's, when I have free time, I'll be with you. When I'm busy, you just have to wait patiently. So what if you've unfortunately found yourself in this position? Forget about finding true love. Instead, learn to leverage the man's resources. If he has power and status, use his network. The first thing you should do is secure a large nest egg for yourself so that when the inevitable breakup happens, you're not left with absolutely nothing. In this life, anything can be a tool. Outside of your own survival and well-being, nothing else is really a big deal, especially not feelings. It's just a game played between men and women for a little fun. Who told you to take it so seriously? The true masters of life are those who can be in love without letting it touch their soul. Look at the most successful businessmen. The vast majority of them can walk away from a relationship without a second thought. But most women get entangled, sucked in, unable to free themselves. This is because they fail to grasp the purpose of the game and can't read the situation. Or simply put, they just don't have enough experience. When a woman reaches a point where it's difficult for her to truly fall in love, then congratulations, you have reached the pinnacle of your life. Because the masters use emotion, they are never controlled by it. Think of the most powerful women in history. How did they get there? They didn't love men, they used men. There is a saying, to be without desire is to be powerful. So women, you must be independent. In the end, whoever falls in love is the one who suffers. Whoever gets attached is the one who gets their heart broken. All right, I need you to listen very carefully to this next part. I'm going to break down 3 powerful truths that can pull you out of the endless cycle of romantic pain and disappointment. First, and this is the hardest pill to swallow, stop expecting emotional validation from anyone. Let's be brutally honest. A man's love at first sight is often sparked by a woman's beauty. A woman's deep affection is often tied to a man's resources. You don't have bad luck with women, you have bad luck with your bank account. The gut-wrenching pain you feel after a breakup? It's not really about her. It's about the fact that your wallet isn't deep enough to give you other options. Think about it. How can a man who has endless options ever truly be heartbroken by one person? Do you think someone like Cristiano Ronaldo spends his nights crying over a breakup? You only get hurt by something because you've put it on a pedestal. And why do you put it on a pedestal? Because you lack it. It's that simple. The people who overvalue emotion, who depend on it, who live in the past, they're the ones setting themselves up for a world of pain. At the end of the day, most misery in life boils down to a lack of money and the lack of love. But let's be real, the lack of love is almost always a symptom of the lack of money. Money is just a tool, something you can live with or without, right? Wrong. Money is a necessity you can't afford to ignore. I had a guy in one of my programs ask me, "My girlfriend left me. What's the secret technique to win her back?" I almost didn't know what to say. I told him, "Why are you chasing a woman? You should be chasing your purpose. Chase your career. When you conquer your own world, a line of women will form, wanting to be a part of it." It's such a simple concept, yet so many men just don't get it. A man whose heart is still chained to a lost romance, who dreams of the what-ifs, that man has already given up on his greatest potential. Every single person who achieves something massive in this world shares one trait. They are ruthlessly rational. It doesn't matter what your partner is doing. You just focus on earning. Why are you trying to manage them? Every relationship has an expiration date, but your bank account, that's the only thing you can truly rely on. Do you know why some couples seem to last a lifetime despite being miserable? Because they don't have the resources to find a replacement. A woman with few options will always think men are promiscuous. A man with no power will always think women are materialistic. Sometimes people drift away from you not because you did anything wrong, but simply because their use for you has expired. What you mistook for a deep emotional connection was, in reality, just a transaction of interests. So if a woman ever tells you, "I don't care that you're broke, I'm not materialistic, I'll love you anyway," just listen, smile, and do not believe a word of it. It's the same empty promise as you telling her, "Honey, even if you gain 50 pounds and let yourself go, I'll still desire you just as much." Don't fall for it. On principle, morally, anyone can grit their teeth and say the right words. They can promise to love you unconditionally. But the body, the eyes, they are brutally honest. You can't lie to your own primal instincts. And what is the foundation of loyalty in a marriage? It's the ability to provide mutual satisfaction. The institution of marriage, at its core, was never about love. It was designed to serve societal stability, to provide a consistent labor force. The law never requires you to marry for love. We just told ourselves that story. The true value of marriage is the integration of resources. It's not about finding the one versus staying single. It's about economics. So why does the magic of dating fade after marriage? Because during the dating phase, you're both meeting each other's needs. Lasting loyalty comes from continuing to meet those needs. That's why I always say, a man is in a constant state of becoming. If his partner doesn't keep up, it's only a matter of time before she's replaced. And the same is true for a woman who is constantly growing. If her man stagnates, his replacement is inevitable. What is the fundamental relationship between a man and a woman? It's like a tree and a vine. The man is the tree. The woman is the vine. If the tree grows tall and strong, but the vine stays small, other stronger vines will eventually wrap themselves around that tree. And if the vine flourishes but the tree remains stunted, that vine will seek out a bigger tree to climb. It's the law of nature. We hear so much about the problem of men cheating, but do you think it happens any less with women? What is the root cause when a woman strays? Can you really blame her? Or is it simply that the wall of the world you built for her was just too low? When you reach a higher level, a higher capability, a greater wealth, can they get out? They want to, but they can't, precisely because your own level is still too low. It's like being stuck in a ditch. You need more than just a weed to climb out. The true center of a family isn't emotion, it's economics. When you don't have enough money, you absolutely do not need to overfocus on your relationship with your spouse or family drama. Beyond the basic bond, your entire focus should be on your business, on your craft, on making it. Remember this, using money to express your affection will always be more effective than using mere words. Don't let yourself become overly sentimental. What they fundamentally need isn't you, it's what you can provide. Number 2, don't expect morality from anyone. Let me tell you a story about a brilliant executive I once read about. Early in his career, he was a shining example of integrity and knowledge, a role model for a generation. But when he first started, he was a disaster. He was met with hostility everywhere he went in the corporate world. Why? Because not only did he hold himself to an impossibly high moral standard, he demanded the same from everyone else. If another manager made the slightest misstep in their work, he'd report them directly to the CEO. Today it was one person, tomorrow another. He made himself so disliked that eventually everyone started ganging up on him. He was completely miserable, unable to understand why his pure, unshakable integrity had made his life a living hell. Then he began to look inward. He finally understood a profound truth. The most rigid things are the easiest to break, while true strength lies in flexibility. He built a new principle for his life. To control the hardest things in the world, you must use the softest touch. As long as the end result was good, a few flaws in the process didn't matter. If someone else's methods were something he couldn't personally accept, he learned not to interfere. If someone intentionally tried to make his life difficult, he learned to endure. If someone stabbed him in the back, as long as it wasn't a fatal blow, he wouldn't investigate. He'd just heal himself and let it go. He stopped expecting morality from anyone and focused on one thing only: solving problems for the company and making the CEO look good. Over time, people noticed the change. He was no longer that insufferable, prickly porcupine. His enemies slowly vanished, and the trust and credibility he held in the eyes of the leadership began to soar. When you understand that human nature is fundamentally selfish, that every word and every action revolves around a person's own self-interest, you will naturally let go. The moment you place moral expectations on others, you are guaranteed to get hurt. A man says, "I'll love you for the rest of my life." A woman says, "Through poverty and sickness, I will never leave you." A child says, "When I grow up, I'll take care of you." An employee says, "I am forever grateful to you, boss." A boss says, "You're not an employee, you're family." If you believe any of these words, you will be hurt. In the face of a large enough personal gain, these are all just fairy tales. And if they haven't been broken yet, it just means the temptation wasn't big enough. I'm not telling you to be immoral. I'm telling you not to expect others to be moral with you. People are only moral unto themselves. Using morality to bind yourself is true character. Using morality to bind others is itself immoral. Number 3, stop trying to build yourself a reputation as the good guy. A friend of mine called me yesterday. A while back, his brother-in-law borrowed $20,000 from him to start a business. Later, his father-in-law fell gravely ill, and my friend single-handedly paid tens of thousands of dollars in hospital bills. After his father-in-law passed away, he gently suggested to his mother-in-law and brother-in-law that maybe they could split the medical expenses. The result? His mother-in-law screamed at him, calling him a cold-hearted man for daring to count the pennies he spent on his own father-in-law. He went home and told his wife, and she just piled on, blaming him. "How can you be so petty? My brother's business isn't making any money. And my dad, wasn't he your father too?" After hearing this, my friend was completely lost. He was the one who paid for everything, yet somehow he was the one getting blamed. A few days later, he decided to let the medical bills go, but reasoned that the business loan was a different matter. So he told his wife, "Look, tell your mom and brother that I'll cover the medical stuff, but your brother needs to pay back the $20,000 he borrowed for his business." His wife exploded again. "Is money all you ever think about? That's my brother. He's your brother too. His business is struggling right now and you're demanding money? Is that something a human being would do?" They had a huge fight, and that night, the phone rang. It was his mother-in-law. She laid into him again. "Don't you worry, I'll sell my own blood if I have to pay you back. Just stop tormenting my son. I gave my daughter to you for all these years, and you're telling me that's not even worth a few $1,000s?" My friend was an absolute wreck that night. He called me, his voice breaking, asking me what he was supposed to do. I told him to forget the money and just cut ties with that whole side of the family. How can I do that? He pleaded. They're still family. I can let the money go, but now they're all calling me stingy. They're saying I'm the bad guy. How do I make them see that's not true? How do I get them to stop thinking that way about me? I had to ask him, why are you so desperate for their approval? Why do you need to be the good guy in their story so badly? Aren't you exhausted? He just said, but family relationships are so important. You have to work to keep them strong. I could see he was in too deep, completely trapped by this idea. So I shared my perspective with him. The truth is, so many of us get tangled up in these emotional webs, bound by family obligations and this burning desire to always be seen as the good person. And the result? We end up emotionally exhausted, with nothing to show for it but our own pain. The reason is simple. For the people who already see the good in you, you could do 10 good things and 5 bad things, and they'll still believe in your good heart. But for those who are determined to see you in a negative light, you could do 100 good deeds, and it would never be enough to erase that one time you didn't meet their expectations. So what's the solution? You have to stop trying to change their perception of you. Create distance. Be firmer with your boundaries. You cannot be the hero in everyone's story, and that includes members of your own family. I've learned to never label myself as a good person, because the moment you fall short, all the good you've ever done gets erased in their eyes. It's almost better to let them see you as someone who is firm and has boundaries. That way, when you do choose to do something kind, it's seen for what it is, a genuine gift, not an obligation. Most of our sadness in these situations comes from a simple formula. We give and we don't receive what we feel we deserve in return. So the best way to protect your heart is to be more intentional with what you give. That way, even if they criticize you, it doesn't sting as much. The absolute worst feeling in the world is giving a piece of yourself only to be attacked for it anyway. My rule is simple, and it applies to everyone except my parents. If I'm good to you once and you're good back to me, we can be close friends. If I'm good to you and you don't reciprocate, we can be distant acquaintances. But if I'm good to you and you not only don't reciprocate, but you also speak ill of me behind my back, you're cut off. It doesn't matter who you are. At the end of the day, people are wired to test the boundaries of the kind and respect the strength of the firm. This is true even with the people you love. Stop wasting your precious time and energy trying to maintain relationships that only drain you. Take that time, take that energy, and invest it in becoming a stronger, more resilient version of yourself. And that's the journey we are all on. If this message resonated with you today, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to Evolve Every Day for more insights, and share it with someone who might need to hear this. I truly want to know your thoughts on this, so please leave a comment below. How do you handle setting boundaries with the people in your life? Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.